desire alone is alright. But when desire pretends to be something else, then you have a real problem. Somebody builds a big memorial in his own name. You say, look at this fellow, self-obsessed, narcissist. Why this hypocrisy that I'll do some good work, some holy work, some meaningful work at least. And from that I also want a lot of money. We're aiming at two things. And we are experts. Either we'll aim at two things, or we'll pretend that we are rejecting desire altogether and call it renunciation. And the one desire that religion has been morbidly afraid of is, so they have labeled it, renamed it, hidden it in all possible ways. That's what all spirituality is about. Chuang Tzu is saying now you are just divided and you miss both. Now what is to be done? How do we move to the next level? Do you see what happens when you are into something for the sake of something else? How do we come to the same page? I want to discuss poem number 3. Do you have it? That reminds me, we probably need to have a small projector here. Something can be shown to everybody. All right, लिख लीजिए. The need to win, Chuang Tzu. When the archer shoots for pure joy, his aim is true and effortless. Every sentence is a fresh line in the poem. When he shoots for a prize, his mind trembles. When gold is at stake, he goes blind. Semicolon, he sees two targets. Next para. His skill is unchanged, but the reward divides him. His skill is unchanged, but the reward divides him. Next line. He becomes anxious to win, and that very desire robs him of all power. Right. Simple poem by Chuang Tzu, The Need to Win. Desireless action explained in a simple and joyful way. What I find remarkable here, remarkable and insightful, is the thing about two targets. So we are talking of the archer here. Who is the archer? The ego. The ego is the archer. The archer, the shooter. So the archer obviously can have only one target. If you have two, you hit neither. Right? So this thing about two targets tells us something about the two possibilities always open to the ego. There always are two potential targets present, and the ego can go for either of them. What's certain is the ego can go only for either of them, not both of them together. If you go for both of them, obviously you miss both. Obviously you miss both. Which are these two targets open, possible to the ego? Gratification or liberation. These are the two possible targets. Gratification or liberation. Now you can have many synonyms for both of these. You could say desire fulfillment and fulfillment. Gratification is desire fulfillment, liberation is fulfillment itself. So, remember this? Remember this? Where is the ego here? Right? That's the ego. The middle finger is symbolic of the ego. What is the ego? A middle finger unto itself. It can go this way, it can go this way. Which, if this happens to be Prakriti and this happens to be the pure self, Atman, which side is the side of gratification? So this is one option. Go for gratification. The other side is go for liberation. And you could go either way. You could go either way. So the first level of debate is which of these two sides is superior? And that's a very honest debate. Very honest debate. Which way to go? You go this way, obviously you are great. You are aiming for liberation. You aim for gratification. And gratification alone. Pure gratification. Even that might not be really so bad. What's worse is the hypocrisy when you aim for both or pretend to aim for both. Right? You pretend to aim for both. So, I love you. Can I also have some dowry? Right? Getting it? I want to do so much for you. Can I also have some credit? Getting this? Now, if you want to trade in credit, be a trader and simply say, I'll do this much for you. And in return, I expect this many units of credit. That's fine. Simple and neat trade, that is. No issues there. Far better than that is love or selfless giving, in which you don't count the returns. You don't aim for credit. So that's higher than that. But much lower than both of these is when you say you are doing something selflessly or lovingly, and you also want credit. Now you are aiming at two targets. And when you aim at two targets, you miss both. You miss both. That's why desire in itself is all right. But desire pretending to be something else is truly vicious. Desire exposed and accepted as desire is not that much of a problem. You remember Saral Kam from Gita? Desire exposed and gently accepted as desire alone is all right. But when desire pretends to be something else, then you have a real problem. Now you will be targeting desire as well as something else, and you'll miss both. You will miss both. Let the ego have just one target at one point. It's wonderful if the ego can aim directly at the sky. Let the ego shoot straight at the sky, which is liberation. Wonderful. Incomparable. Nothing like it. But in case the ego chooses to remain on the ground, to move here, to crawl here, to engage with the soil, that too might be all right. Because facts are the door to truth. Soil, if neatly engaged, would lead to the sky. If you are honestly engaging with the entire process of desire, the whole process will show up, be exposed, and get unraveled. You will know what the whole thing is about. You will acknowledge what is actually happening within. You will say, yes, there is desire, and when there is desire, this happens, this happens, this happens, and that's how I'm learning. And that's how I'm learning. The earth will become the gateway to the sky. But none of that happens when you are rolling in the mud while claiming to be attempting a takeoff. That's your alibi. Rolling in the mud and shouting, sky, sky, I'm taking off, I'm taking off. Just about to take off. This is my way, my method, my technique for takeoff. Let me do a little more of this and I'll fly. Now nothing is possible because you are attempting two things at once. The fundamental desire is to wallow in the mud. Right? But there is also some part of you that wants to offer some lip service to the sky. There is some, at least superficial, respect for the sky. So you don't want to own the guilt of abandoning the sky. So even if you are just playing with the mud, you are still labeling it as something to do with the sky. Now you will miss both, because you will not be able to engage with the mud. You will give the mud holy names. For example, sky mud. Sacred soil. You will dig a hole in the ground and say, this is heaven hole. This hole leads to the heavens. As a result, there would be no honesty in the relationship you have with the soil. There would always be a certain guilt, a certain pretense, a certain moral angst. Every time you'll proceed to fulfill your desire with the soil, you'll be cautious how to name it as something sacred. You'll stop yourself, you'll censor yourself, and you'll live with the guilt of hypocrisy. Does that sound familiar? Does that happen? You will cook the most delectable dishes to satisfy your own taste buds in the name of pleasing the gods. So you'll not even be able to say, wow, delicious, fantastic. You'll not be able to engage in a naked way with even your desire. You'll have to dress it up in holy clothing. You'll say, this is not food. This is offering to the gods. This is prasad. So I have to accept it as the gift of the heavens. You very well know what it is, because it is you who cooked it in the first place. How can you not know? You very well know why you cooked it and how you cooked it. So how will you succeed in fooling yourself? You know what it is, yet you will be convincing yourself that this is something holy. You will be divided. You'll be divided. Like the youngster having some common sense. Or the wife with some common sense. Succumbing to the pressure to treat parents or husband as gods. The wife has just had an experience the previous night. How can she not know what the God is like? Others might be deceived. This woman cannot be deceived. She has had first-hand experience just now. But then sunrise and the holy verses and the chanting, and she takes a bath and dresses up, And she has to convince herself to follow the rituals in which the husband becomes the Lord. There will be division. Do you get this? And I'm not saying the husband is exploitative. Not necessarily. It might have been a simple, mutually agreed game of desire played over the entire night. As common as it happens. And that is all right. All kinds of creatures play that game. Fine. But then, with the morning, you have to arrange a totally different dimension of hypocrisy. You'll be divided. Now there can't even be pure desire. Forget about liberation. Now there can't even be pure titillation. Both are forbidden. Liberation is obviously ruled out. Even the game of desire becomes something you cannot fully participate in. Not that there is much to be gained by fully participating in that game. But then, the human body, the mortal instincts, one gets into it. And if one does honestly get into it, that too, we said, could be a door or a mirror, or a door having a mirror. You see the reality of carnal physical engagement. And if you are honest about it, sooner than later you drop out. But dropping out will become impossible if all that is veiled behind a sacred vocabulary. No. This is not sex. This is my humble offering to my Lord. This is an act of devotion. No, this is devotion. I have just offered myself fully to the Lord. No, forget about devotion. This is not even sex now. This is some caricature of something. You are neither this side nor that side. Chuang Tzu is saying now you are just divided. And you miss both. You miss both. That's the problem with most of the religious people all over the world, and more specifically in India. The same game of desire is played out. Just the vocabulary is changed. And the participants are convinced that change of vocabulary would mean change of dimension. The word desire is banned or ostracized, expunged, but not desire itself. Desire is allowed to continue in sacred clothing. Desire is not so much of a problem. Desire in holy clothing is a huge problem. Somebody builds a big memorial or tomb or mausoleum in his own name. You say, look at this fellow. Self-obsessed, narcissist. He wants to immortalize his name. So he has built this grand structure and put his name on it. But when the same thing is done in the name of religion, it gets moral sanction. You contributed so much to a place of worship, and now your name has been etched there. Immortalized. And that is all right. Now you can't even be accused of being egoistic. Whereas if you raise that memorial, then the memorial, the bigger it is, the bigger is the risk it carries of being labeled egoistic. Look at this huge structure. This fellow was certainly too full of himself. Now there is another one with the same tendency, but much more cunning. The tendency is the same. I don't want to die. I somehow want my name to survive. Same tendency. But the tendency is much more cunning. So what does he do? He gives it a holy sheen. What does he do? He contributes to a big, much bigger than that memorial. He contributes to a big place of worship. And they inscribe his name there. Got what the desire wanted. And also got named with liberation. You will miss both. You will miss both. If you wanted your name to be immortal, well, not really. The temple would still be known by the name of the religion or the deity. Right? It would still be the God's temple. Nobody would say Seth Mansukh Mandir. So that desire has been frustrated. Whereas on the other hand, somebody raises a memorial for himself, that memorial will be known by that person's name. So whatever that shady desire was, irrespective of the quality of the desire, at least the desire remains fulfilled. Even if it's a very shallow, shady, stupid desire, at least it got fulfilled. You have this Humayun's tomb in Delhi, here. It is known by whose name? Humayun's name. Fine, cool. So to that extent, Humayun did succeed. Even if the desire has no quality at all, yet it succeeded. Though the success or the fulfillment of that desire would fetch Humayun nothing at all. It's a very shallow and senseless desire, but still it succeeds. Like couples from orthodox, semi-urban, rural areas, not having the guts to ask for a proper formal honeymoon. So they proceed on pilgrimage. Don't you know? And they say, we need to take blessings of the god or the goddess. We just got married. You will enjoy neither. You will get neither spiritual liberation and not even fulfillment of desire. Because the entire day you'll have to pretend like devotees. You can't be with each other. And if you actually fulfill your desires en route to the pilgrimage site, you will be lynched. There are so many sites of pilgrimage all over the world situated atop mountains, and the weather is lovely and cool and couples love it. But what if there is some PDA en route? And the fellow pilgrims will simply bash you up. Because you have yourself declared that you are not a honeymoon couple. Right? That you are a pair of devotees. So if you are devotees, what are you doing? No. You get neither. Do you get this? Honesty. Else all that you get is division. Maya mili naram. Do you see the psychological process? When you are not into something for the sake of the thing. Do you see what happens when you are into something for the sake of something else? Some reward that's not intrinsic to the thing itself. For example, studies or work. If you are into it for the sake of money, money is not intrinsic to the education or knowledge or the book itself, is it? No. There is no direct relationship. There is no organic relationship. There is no inseparable relationship between the book you are reading and the money you seek to get. In fact, money can be obtained in 1,000 other ways. Money is nothing inseparable from that book. You may not read the book and still have the money, right? So these two are not one. What the book has, that education, that knowledge, and the money that you seek to get from that knowledge are not one. They are two. Because you can remove one of them and still the second can be there, which means they are separate really. You may not read the book and still through some other means get some money, right? Which means these two are not the same. Same thing applies to work. You work and then there is the salary. Now the salary is just some money. That money can be had from other sources as well. Which means work and money are not inseparable. Which means they are not one thing. If the two are one, then the removal of one would mean the removal of the other as well, right? But if in a pair you can remove one and the other still remains, that means the two were really never a pair. Right? One can exist even without the other. So then these two, since they are not really related to each other, are disjoint, separate. And if they are totally separate, they are orthogonal, which means that the attainment or non-attainment of one may not mean anything in terms of attainment or non-attainment of the other. So these are then two separate axes. How can anybody move this way and this way? And if one tries to do both, one would be compromising on both. The only way you can move this way and this way is if you move this way, 45 degrees. And if you move 45 degrees, then you very well know that the total distance covered will be far longer than your movement along either of the axes. In a right angle triangle, isn't the hypotenuse bigger than both of the other sides? So this will be a right angle triangle, this will be the hypotenuse, these are the two sides. You will move a lot because you want to have this and you also want to have this. So you can move neither this way purely, nor can you move this way. You can't move on the y-axis alone. You don't want to miss on x. You don't want to move on x-axis alone because then you will miss out on y. So you will take a 45-degree route. And that 45-degree route will mean that you will miss out on both x and y. You'll say, but we'll have some measure of x and y. If relative attainment could satisfy you, especially when it comes to the y-axis, which is the axis of liberation, relative attainment accounts to nothing. Relative attainment on the axis of absolute would amount to nothing. Do you see how there are two goals? So you are working, but you are working for money. Now work and money can be orthogonal, arguably, because money can be obtained even if you do not work. So your center will never be in the work because one part of you is aiming at the other target. The other target is money. Getting it? How to make more money out of the same work? Now, you will compromise. You will definitely compromise. You will sell yourself out. Because one part of you is busy thinking of the money associated with that piece of work. That piece of work could be anything. Some piece of output, some text, a YouTube short, anything. But you are constantly thinking, how much will I make out of it? So you will put all crap in that short. All crap you will put just that so that you can have some, a shooter aiming at two targets. I want to work well, but I also want good money. You miss on both. Target just one. If you want money, then be unapologetic about it. Say, I want money and I'll do anything that it takes to get that money. then don't bring your morality and spirituality in between. Great money can be obtained through many ways. They are all open. Please go and sell yourself there. And you will have all the money that you want. But why? Why this hypocrisy that I'll do some good work, some holy work, some meaningful work at least. And from that I also want a lot of money. Now, you will be simply spoiling the meaningful work. It's all right if money is your center, if that's what you want in life. Be open about it then and say all that I want is money. And then there are so many ways to earn money. Proceed. Proceed. And don't be apologetic. But you also want to remain good, nice, moral in your own eyes. So you don't want to do things that would be morally a little indefensible. So you put your hands on something holy, something meaningful, and say, this is my work. But then one eye is looking in another direction. Think of. We are not decrying desire here. We are not berating money here. We are analyzing duplicity, double standards, pretense, hypocrisy, pakhand. That's what we are trying to understand. Obviously, it's wonderful if you aim at liberation. It's still all right if you aim at desire or money or whatever. But far, far worse is, yes, when you couch your desire in something that smells sacred. And say, no, I'm here as a missionary, as a volunteer. I'm here to do some meaningful work. And in the name of meaningful work, see what you are doing. You're killing the work. You're killing the work. Because one eye was always looking at money. So you kill the work itself. Earning money is not difficult, provided you keep your morality aside and fear aside. Contract killers, prostitution, all kinds of roads are available and you can have all kinds of money that you want. Your problem is that you want that kind of money through nice means. You want to be able to console yourself, I am somebody holy at heart, meaningful at mind, and billionaire at the bank. Now this combo is a problem. Holy at heart and billionaire at the bank. This combo is hypocrisy. We are not saying this combo is impossible. But aiming at this combo is hypocrisy. If it happens on its own, that's fine. That's fine. You got into something very, very deep, very meaningful with all honesty. And that result in a certain inflow of money. That's fine. That is what you really call as prasad. I was not into it for the sake of money, yet the money came. Fine if it came. Not that I wanted it. And one day it may stop coming. Even that would be okay. I don't know who it was who said nobody ever made $1 billion. Using ethical means. Nobody ever, I don't remember, it's 1 million or 1 billion something. That's what we want to attempt. And that's the problem. If you want to engage with desire, do that without any qualms. No sanctions needed, no apologies needed. You want to engage with desire, do that, fine. Just don't present it as a holy endeavor. Sex is sex, not submission to the Lord. Food is food, not offering from the heavens. And look at the kind of delicious food that you get in the name of religion. Ordinary food is no match at all to holy food. No wonder people want to turn holy. In the name of religion, you want to slaughter animals and say we want to distribute the flesh, the meat, to the poor and the needy. Do the poor and the needy need meat? Or education for their kids? Or a roof over their head? But then holy food has to be delectable, finger-licking delicious. So no ordinary thing would do. It has to be fresh mutton. Do you see what mankind has been attempting since centuries? To satisfy taste buds and yet claim divinity. Go to any place of worship and see the food, lips smacking good. Loads of sugar and dairy and everything. Ghee. And now, food is not sin. Huh? But partying in the name of liberation is hypocrisy, if not sin. Why call it a place of worship? Simply say restaurant. With subsidized meals? Do you understand this? All religion is marked by things that please the senses and the desires. Make a list and you'll see it's unending. Things that please the eyes, so you will have this, that, all kind. Things that please the ears, so you have, yes, soothing music of all kinds. And obviously food. We are into winters now, and Christmas is upon us. And if you go to the West or even to the Indian metros, you will see what Christmas means. Special food, special sights. What does this Christmas have to do with the blood of Jesus? So much food. Look at that poor man. And you are simply feasting on calories. And then look at that man on the cross. And then you have Santa Claus who will deliver all kinds of goodies. Now, goodies are all right, but not all right in the name of sacredness. You are aiming at two things. You're aiming at two things. And we are experts. Either we'll aim at two things, or we'll pretend that we are rejecting desire altogether and call it renunciation. We will either accept desire in the name of religion. That's like a backdoor entry to desire. Right? Desire is accepted. Everything that the common man does is permissible in the religious sense also. But with a holy name. With a holy name. Not honeymoon. Pilgrimage. Somebody said we are proceeding on a Swiss pilgrimage. Recently, a new temple has been inaugurated there. So either give desire a backdoor entry, and if that backdoor entry is not possible or exposed, or the door is banged shut for some reason, then say, I am a renunciate. Why can't there be simple acceptance of desire? Yes, that's what there is desire, there is. And what's been seen is, if you engage neatly with desire, honestly with desire, without pretense, desire cannot stand for long. Because there is nothing in it anyway. There is nothing in it. The best way to get rid of desire is observe it. Don't kick it away. Don't shroud it. Don't cloak it. Don't rename it. Let it come. Let it come. Make it sit across the table. Engage it. Speak to it. Fearlessly. You won't become immoral. Engage desire and you find it vanishing. Because there is anyway nothing in it. That's called faith. Only the truth shall survive. And if the desire will have truth, it will survive. Why should I be afraid? Let there be desire. I'll examine, I'll talk to it, I'll speak to desire. If this desire is indeed arising from truth, it will pass the test and survive. But if it is coming from some other place, it will vanish. I'm not afraid. What we call as religion is marked by a lot of hypocrisy towards desire. Great hypocrisy towards desire. You want to be called a renunciate, and you see that liberation from desire is not possible. So what's the trick you come up with? Rename desire. Rename desire. And the one desire that religion has been morbidly afraid of is the carnal one, sex. So they have labeled it, renamed it, hidden it in all possible ways. Sample this. So many of the so-called holy books would say sex is cheap. It is something next to a sin. In fact, Adam and Eve were actually banished from the heavens for this. If not a sin, then at least a huge crime. But begetting a lot of kids is your religious responsibility. And if you do that, then you are a soldier of the religion. Sex is crime, but having 20 kids is a holy responsibility. Backdoor entry to all desire. No, I'm not having sex. I am doing my religious duty. Hurting sentient beings is a crime. But killing sentient beings in the name of festivals is a holy ritual. You see, the desire for violence has been given a holy name. Same desire. And now the desire actually has been immortalized. Had you simply said, this is not holy, this is my desire for violence, it is possible that after a point you would have grown sick of it and simply said, so much bloodshed, is this what my desire means? I give it up. I don't like it. I give it up. You would have seen through. But now you cannot see through because it is now no more about you. It is about God now. And who can see through God? If God has ordered something, there must be something in it. Who can see through God? It's God's plan, not your desire. And I say, well, if God's plan is so deliciously aligned with my desire, why should I object? Yes, desire is definitely inferior to liberation. But much, 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 much inferior than desire is hypocrisy. There was this fellow at the time of IIT JEE preparation. He was known to hop coachings. This one to that one, to that one, to that one. And he was known to be a decent performer academically. And when asked, well, you stayed here for just 1 month and now you have joined another coaching. Sometimes you would even change cities within NCR. Now you are traveling all the way to Delhi or to Gurgaon. What's it? He would say, no, because, I have just discovered that teacher is far better. And he's coming up with novel techniques and tricks to crack difficult questions. And one would say such commitment. He is really devoted. Really devoted. It turned out after a few months, because such things can't be hidden for long, he was actually chasing girls. Within the circuit, the moment he would come to know there is this hot new chick in that coaching, he would go and join. That's the age of the hormonal surge. You were 17, 18, something. Came the month of May, the results were declared. The fellow was weeping all by himself in a room. The trouble was not just that he wasn't selected. The trouble was that there was no chick by his side. Targeted 2 things and got none of them. That's what. Far better would have been to drop all preparation for the JEE and simply pursue the primary desire. Because he was anyway never sincere or committed towards academics. He had talent, but then talent comes cheap. The primary desire was to chase girls. So you should have dropped all pretense and just chased girls full time. That would have helped you get rid of girls. Because there is nothing there. 50% of human population. How can it be something special or rare? There is nothing there. But he kept pretending. He kept pretending. This pretense brought him down. Are you getting it? I'm not praising desire here. I'm just using desire to show you how dastardly this thing called hypocrisy is. In religious discourse, it is fashionable to curse desire, is it not? Desire is bad, desire is bad. Now, if desire is something we curse, and hypocrisy is far worse than desire, what words do we have for hypocrisy then? If for desire we have cuss words, and hypocrisy we are saying is far worse than desire, then how should we address hypocrisy? Hypocrisy doesn't get its due. Hypocrisy doesn't get, in fact, hypocrisy often gets rewarded. That's the imbalance we are trying to correct. If desire is bad, hypocrisy is far, far worse. Give hypocrisy its due. If you abuse desire, if you decorate desire with colorful words, fallen, cursed, what are the words? Sinner, yeah, blasphemous, heretic, godless, corrupted, beastly, sinister. Not just sinister, sinner itself, yes. So we use these words to address desire, and hypocrisy is far worse than desire. How should we decorate hypocrisy then? Give it its due. And that has been India's bane. We have cursed desire and rewarded hypocrisy. In fact, the more religious a person is, the more is the probability of hypocrisy there. If a fellow says he is religious, How do you test him? Here is a way. Here is a way. See how easily, smoothly can the person admit desire. The desire is to continue acting the way we did in our classroom. The stupid backbenchers, right? That's the desire. But the added benefit we seek is attendance in the sessions. So we'll be called nice employees, obedient students, also committed seekers. And that's far worse than desire itself. Yes, sir? Right at the back. Who is God then? Another name for our desire. That's what. And not a straight name, not a simple name. A twisted, convoluted, deceptive name. In the name of godliness, all that we do is attempt to fulfill desires. If you are not afraid, do you go to a place of worship? If you are not greedy, do you go there? If you are not conditioned, do you go there? Be all right with yourself. Facts are the door to truth. When an object attracts you, attempt to know its facts. Desire is not a problem, ignorance is. Being attracted is not a problem, not knowing what you are attracted to is a problem. Don't blame desire. Target ignorance. Ignorance. Not knowing is the problem. Not knowing is the problem. If you know, desire transcends into love. In both desire and love, there is a terrible attraction. Just that love is desire with illumination. The common thing between desire and love is that there is attraction. But what desire lacks is illumination. Love has both attraction and illumination. So desire is not the problem. Darkness is. You need illumination, not renunciation. Get this? It's all right to want. Release yourself. Breathe. Breathe deeply. Relax. You're not a sinner if you want. The trouble is not the want. The trouble is the darkness around the want. The trouble is when you want without knowing what you want, without knowing why you want, and without knowing, come on, without knowing the one who wants. That's the problem. Want is not a problem. Don't kill it. Don't suppress it. You won't succeed. In fact, the more you try to suppress your desire, the more you will enter into hypocrisy. Because that suppression cannot succeed. All you will succeed in getting is hypocrisy. You'll think you have gotten rid of desire. All that you will get rid of is the word desire. You will conveniently replace it with Another more convenient, comfortable word, maybe another one starting with D, divinity. This is not desire, this is divinity. Does that change things? It's all right to want. Spirituality, real spirituality arising from deep philosophy, is not about quitting this or that, not even wearing clothes or something. It's not about that. In fact, if you find someone walking around in winter with bare minimum clothing, chances are not that the fellow has God. Chances are that the fellow has an agenda. Because this is not even sensible. Forget about being spiritual. This body is not made to withstand temperatures beyond a narrow range. And somebody says, I'm not eating, not wearing, not this, not that. I mean, surely there is something else the fellow is targeting. Surely it's the kind of trade in which by giving up something small, food or clothes or something, a much bigger gain is being attempted. Two things are being targeted. Do you get this? Especially as youngsters, go ahead. There must be burning love in the heart. Why must you not want? You must want, and you must want badly and madly. The kind of mad fire that consumes you totally from inside. That's what you must have. But fire must not be just smoke. It must be a lot of light. You get this? Fire must mean a lot of light. You must know what is worth wanting and then give yourself fully to it. Forget about suppressing desire. Real desire is the very zenith of life. Real desire is what makes life bloom and blossom and worth living. Pity the ones who don't have anything to live for. There must always be that beautiful moon or that little twinkling pole star in your life, which even if unattainable, gives something to live for. Who can hold the moon in his arms? But yet there must be a moon in your life. Don't travelers keep looking at the pole star not because they want to reach the pole star, but because the pole star will tell them how to walk. The pole star will tell them where to reach. You won't reach the pole star. Nobody does. Yet do have that pole star in your life. Do you get this? You're not to grow dead. You're not to say, I don't want anything. Yeah, the samosa was good. Because, Acharya Ji's blessings. No, but that was samosa. No, blessings. Basosa. All that we need is a change of name, right? It's a blessed samosa. So it's a basosa. If you say you had samosa, then you are sinners. No, you are Acharya Ji's students. Acharya Ji's students don't take samosa. They take basosa. Like Acharya Prashant never takes tea. He takes spirituality. Sick. Right? Be real. Be real. If you can't even be real, how will you be truthful? If you can't even have facts, how will you have the truth? Be real. So we have endorsed desire fully, right? This was a session on indulgence, right? Cool. So what do we do after we return now? Religious laddu becomes raddu. You go and you. In its own eyes, ego exists. The plane of facts has a definite place for the ego. The plane of truth has no place for facts. Tell me why. Because there is no duality there. All facts are to the ego, right? The pillar is a fact. It is not an imagination, but it is a fact to me and to you. Which means the plane of facts has a definite place for the ego. It's all right. The ego does exist. At the Vyavaharik level, the ego definitely exists. The ego is not a myth, mirage, illusion. The ego exists. And if the ego exists, if the ego is allowed to exist at that level, at the level of facts, then desire too exists. Because if the ego is, then all the objects are to the ego. So the plane of facts, the dimension of lived reality and experiences, that's the plane of facts. The dimension of lived reality and experiences has me and that, and that, and that. In that sense, the ego too is a fact. If the ego is a fact and that object is a fact, then the relationship between that object and the ego is also, it is admitted. Desire is admitted. Desire is a special relationship between the ego and certain objects, which is all right. We are not to cower in fear. Oh, I have done something unholy. No, you have not done something. It is a fact. It is a fact. The kid is born and nobody teaches the kid any kind of sin or counterbalancing morality. But the kid cries for milk. The desire is there. How can it be a crime? It is a fact. Just as the body of the kid is a fact. That's a fact, right? Similarly, the feed it needs, the body needs, is a fact. And the feed will come via the desire. So desire too is a fact. It's all right. We admit facts. There is no need to be ashamed. There is no need to feel guilty. Desire is a fact. Desire exists. Now what is to be done? How do we move to the next level? By examining desire. Not by suppressing it, not by hiding it, not by being ashamed of it. The desire is there. First thing, admit it. Yes, it is there. But in societies where there is the heavy load, that heavy boot of morality to trample you, admission of desire itself takes guts. You can't admit there is desire. Yes, there is desire. No, there is desire. That's fine. That's a good place to begin from. And now say, what is this whole thing about? What is this whole thing about? Let the question mark enter now. The desire is there, which is a fact. Now comes the question mark. Take desire to the lab. I found this. I found this. What is it? I found this. Obviously, it's called desire. But what is it? Desire is the name. The name is not the substance, or is it? Because had the name been the substance would have changed on changing the name. But we succeed so much in changing names. Yet, does the substance change? So don't say it's desire. Take it to the lab. Take it to the lab and examine. What is it? Where does this come from? Why do I feel tempted towards such a thing? And desire and fear are much the same thing. We know that, right? If you can examine desire, you have also examined fear. Much the same thing. Instead of taking desire to the science lab, we take it to the language lab to rename it. That's what we have grown expert at. And one doesn't take a thing to the lab with a predetermined outcome. Does it? Does one do that? When you offer your blood sample to the pathology, do you say, this kind of that number must be below 200? You don't do that, right? You're open to any result provided it is factual. Same thing with desire. When you want to examine it, that's not with the intent of suppression. It is there. It is just there. What is it? And then let anything come out of that. We are not afraid. Let the examination yield the results. We'll see. Do you get this? The most amusing sight is when a hypocrite abuses a desirous one. That's how social and religious authority operates. Have you noticed? Someone is caught indulging in desire. That's fine. But who are the ones abusing him? The ones who have successfully masked their desires and are therefore much worse than the desirous one. They are the ones found at the vanguard of the abusive crowd. You remember that? There was this woman caught for something. And the crowd was about to punish her by pelting stones on her. Jesus says, fine. Yes, obviously she got into something. And what she got into isn't quite high or noble. We agree. We agree. But have we decided on who would throw the first stone? All of you are so ready. But who would be the first one? Who would be the first one?
Never sin.
The one who never committed a sin. This was his way to make the crowd look inwards. That's what all spirituality is about. Look at yourself. And when you look at yourself, what you find is you have the same desires as that woman has. Just that you are smarter at masking it or camouflaging or renaming or something. Therefore, true religion is never about suppression of desire. Hence we said, breathe and relax. You don't have to kill yourself. It's all right to live and want. Just a little caveat, don't want blindly. Too much to ask? Too much? Desire is movement. So is life. Right? Just don't move with your eyes closed. That's all.
Pranam Acharya Ji. Sir, what Buddha used to say about Trishna, the root cause of desire, is sorrow. And what you today told about hypocrisy, that is also the, I understand what you said, that it is also causing the sorrow. So that hypocrisy...
No, it's not causing it. It's shielding it. Desire in some sense is sorrow. But instead of looking at desire, you are camouflaging it. Right? And what does that do to desire? It protects the desire. It shields it from any kind of examination. So hypocrisy is not the cause of desire. Hypocrisy is the armor of desire. Not the cause, but the protective armor.
So is it the same thing what Buddha used to say about Trishna?
What Buddha is pointing at is the origin of desire. What I am saying is that we never examine the origin, instead shield the desire with all kinds of hypocrisy. And that hypocrisy itself is a great attempt, a resolute attempt to not to look at the origin. In that sense, we have fully endorsed the origin and the desire. We have fully endorsed the origin of the desire and the object of the desire. And now we also want to have moral sanction. So we envelope the desire in something that looks more socially acceptable or religiously acceptable. All that is just an effort, an arrangement to not to look at where desire comes from, to not to peep into that dark source.
So that is the cause, that is causing sorrow.
Obviously, see, desire is caused by your primitive tendencies. That's where desire comes from. We just talked of the kid, the weeping kid, right? Nobody taught it to desire. But it is so full of desire. Have you not seen that? So where is desire coming from? Obviously, it's not coming from social conditioning alone. Social conditioning can accentuate desire and give it new forms and new objects. But what's the very source of desire? It is the primitive body itself. Now, instead of looking at that source, instead of seeing where is the desire coming from, what do? We are so afraid of social masters and yet at the same time so determined to pursue our desires that we rename our desires in a way that will please the masters. That way, both the objectives are met. Our primitive desire gains some kind of satisfaction, and the social machinery is also kept happy. Think, for example, of the way most people marry. Where is that engagement coming from? It is that old thing of the jungle, right? Man needs woman, woman needs man. The same thing. Not even man, male. Male needs female, female needs man. That thing of the jungle, that very old thing. But we don't want to look into it. Instead, we give it a holy color, a legal color, a social color, and we elevate it to the status of something divine. It's a divine union happening. But that thing is happening all over the place. Even my cat. Do you understand that? Which doesn't mean that it is something to be abhorred. It is something to be understood. We are not deprecating desire here. Right? We are not decrying the male-female relationship here. Facts are neither celebrated nor berated. It's a fact. It's a fact. One doesn't fight with facts. What's the point in fighting with facts? This is a pillar. It is. How do I fight it? This is a male, that is a female. There would be a certain chemistry. You cannot fight it. It will exist. The thing is to not call it love. Let it remain what it is. Admit it. Yes, there is a certain chemistry. Now don't call it love. Did you get this?
So sorrow itself is not the problem, not accepting.
No. You're putting words in my mouth. Sorrow and ego become one. Getting rid of sorrow will mean getting rid of ego itself. Right? So ego, to protect itself, protects sorrow. How to protect sorrow? By giving the sorrow divine names.
That's hypocrisy.
Ah.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.